Good day everyone, this is Magia H speaking, your lecturer for Finance in Media. Today I'm going to explain part of lesson 3, which is the formative assessment scope. So under lesson 3, we were supposed to cover page 33 to 57, but the most important part for today's lesson is actually the brief for your formative assessment 1. And as we are aware that you are going to write your formative assessment on the 12th of April 2024. If you are not aware, please make sure that you follow through the brief that is also uploaded on Call Campus. Your formative assessment is going to be on the 12th of April 2024. The time for the test, it's actually 10 to 1 p.m. So please make sure you make yourself available at least 30 minutes before the time mentioned. Your examiner or lecturer, it's also Magia H, who is both your lecturer as well as the examiner. Your academic manager is Nathan Govender N. It's Govender N, where the N stands for Nathan. So the subject is finance in media. So this is a scope for your assessment, and this scope does not only cater for formative assessment, but it also cater for your supplementary formative assessment. So meaning that if you get to fail or do not manage to succeed to achieve a pass rate on this, and you get to find yourself having to apply or to write for formative assessment, please note that you will also be required to go through the same scope or brief that you are actually seeing here. So the brief or the scope, this is a formative assessment. This formative assessment is a test that will assess your knowledge and understanding and ability to apply the basic financial concept and technique for the first few weeks of study of this important subject. So your scope is based on week 1 up to week 7, which is everything that we're going to cover from week 1 to week 7, which within these weeks will include number of lectures as well as a revision of those lectures, as well as one last thing, which is going to be a practice test. I'm also going to offer you guys a practice test. So whatever we do from the beginning of our classes up until the last week, which is going to be the week of the first week of April, before you write your formative assessment. So what you're going to be assessed on in particular is as follows. You're going to be expected to demonstrate understanding of the following concept: interpreting and analyzing financial statement, and applying practical accounting knowledge and understanding as well as the skill of accounting. And you'll also be required to demonstrate your overall understanding of financial and mathematics terms and your basic mathematical ability by working with number system, calculating price, fraction, etc., and various real-life media context scenario. So you're going to be given scenario in your assessment, where within this scenario we are going to be covering everything that we've done on chapter 1, which is basic business mathematics. So you are aware that we have covered currently so far the things such as your BODMAS rule, things such as your negative rules, things such as our number system. So all of those things are going to be tested, and some of them will not come in a defined format or in a calculate, but they will mostly come in a scenario format where you'll have a scenario, and then you might be required to then calculate a specific or to solve an issue or identify the best possible solution within that scenario by applying your basic mathematics skills that you have learned through our lessons. So this is going to be an in-class test, so meaning that you'll have to come to the venue on the 12th, where the venue is going to be room 3 and room 4, and the test is going to be covering 2 chapters, chapter 1 and chapter 2, where the test in total will have a total of 100 marks, and those 100 marks will be divided by section within the 2 chapters, where we're going to have different sections which will be explained in the next coming slide. And on top of that, this is going to also be an open book test, where you'll be allowed to bring in your textbook for a reference in terms of writing your assessment. One of the most important thing about bringing a textbook in an assessment is that your textbook must not have any additionally handwritten notes within any page. If it have any additional written notes within any page, you will not be allowed to use a textbook, but to Therefore, use the knowledge that you have learned through class and studying, and then apply it in the question paper or in the test. And you are allowed the following to do on your textbook. You are allowed to use a highlighter to point out important information. You are allowed to use notes, sticky notes, to identify which page have got certain information, but your page identifier are not supposed to have any information. Your sticky notes, the one that you're supposed to use, are not supposed to be the one that you can write notes on. You're supposed to use the one that have got A, B, C, D, E, or just colors, so that you are aware that on which color it's actually what is actually on that particular page. Based on the color while you are studying, you will understand it yourself, because you will be the one that putted your stickers over there. So here it says that this is an in-class open book test, total 100 mark. It is 2 hours long. So your test is not 2 hours long, it is actually 3 hours long. You'll be writing this for 3 hours because of the 100 mark allocation, and therefore it is based on two chapters, chapter 1 and chapter 2 of your textbook, Finance in Media by Matrice and Kotze, and then it's a fourth edition. On top of that, you'll be required to do the explanation, example calculation from lectures, as well as independent work, for you to be able to succeed or to be able to achieve a 50% pass mark. So all activity conducted in class, you are required that you actually do all those activity. You ask question where you do not understand, you do consultation where you do not understand, and your lecturer will always be available for you to be able to give you consultation. Consultation where it is not by appointment will be allowed after class period, where you come to the lecturer and then get to ask your question. For the other consultation hours outside of our class period, you will have to make an appointment, and then I'll be able to assist you. I'm available to assist you on campus as well as online. Online, you'll have to send me an email on what time you like to consult and on which day, and then I will agree or send you suggestion as well as date of my availability for you to be able to consult for your lesson. So one of the most important things that you need to note is that this subject is not the subject of memorizing the textbook or memorizing the activities. It is the subject where you will only get to pass it by practicing, where if you apply perfect practice, you will get perfect results. So please note that perfect practice gives perfect results. So therefore, you are required not to memorize, but to study for understand the concept. So in terms of the learning outcome for the formative assessment, please note that upon successful completion of this formative assessment, you will have demonstrated that you are able to apply the basic principle underlying business mathematics and accounting, apply the order of operations conversion to basic mathematical problem in the business, finding missing figures for simple mathematical problems, perform calculation involving fraction by using the four basic operation, demonstrate the use of percentage in a business environment, demonstrate the ability to solve business mathematics, analyze financial statement, prepare income statement, and in addition of all of those, recording financial information. You need to also demonstrate the skill of being able to prepare as well as to record financial information. The assessment criteria and mark breakdown of your assessment is as follows. Your assessment will have three sections, where these three sections will have each three section will have different marks from the other. Starting with section number A, we've got business mathematics coming with 30 marks. Business mathematics are those kind of questions where you'll be given scenarios where you get to calculate, applying the basic mathematical concept that you have learned on our first few weeks of studying or of lectures. And then this will include the questions will be from basic to advanced level, where you'll be tested at all different levels to see if you understand how to actually apply your mathematics skills in a real life scenario that happens within a media context. And then section B, we're talking about recording financial information, which will come in with 35 marks, this section. So under this section, we're talking about second part of your chapter 1, which is recording financial information, where we talk about the double entry rule, preparation of your financial statements, where we talk about your general ledgers, where we talk about the terms as well as the terminologies of finance and accounting. So this is what this section B would actually be assessing you towards. And therefore, this means that you need to understand the double entry system, you need to understand your terminologies, you need to understand the accounting treatment when it comes to recording information, to say that if this transaction occur within a specific company or within a media company, how would you record that information and how does that information affect your whole company information presentation, which is your financial statement. And then section C, financial reporting, which is going to come with 35 marks. So section C is going to be financial reporting with which include the analysis of financial statement, being able to identify elements within the financial statement, being able to identify accounts within the financial statement, as well as drafting financial statement, which is your income statement. This will form part of your assessment, so which means that you need to make sure that you understand the concept. Do not cram the concept, because the question will not be the same as the one that you will be given in class. Your question will actually be different, but you will just require your understanding of the principle for you to achieve a 50% pass during this assessment. So section A has 30 marks, section B 35, and then section C have got 35 marks as well. In total, that is out of 100 marks. And remember, you need 50% to pass your assessment. So what I will advise you is that when you go and prepare this assessment, do not forget to allocate time in terms of marks allocation. For example, if we're saying 30 marks, we'll be taking somewhere around between 30 to 40 minutes. So meaning that when you practice using those questions, also set a time limit for yourself that will allow you to be able to beat the exam time, for you to be able to achieve and also still have time to review your work before submitting. So practicing with a time limit allows you to grab as much information as you can, and then being able to process that information within a small time given, and therefore that will also boost your knowledge in terms of responding, as well as to become what, a critical thinker. So one of the other things that you need to be aware of is the evidence or the requirement in terms of the exam, or things that you will be required and things that you will not be allowed to have within the exam. As I've already mentioned, the exam, it's a sitting exam, so you'll get to write it in campus on the 12th of April at room 3 or room 4 depending on which venue still have got the capacity by the time you arrive in campus. You are not allowed to arrive more than 20 minutes late, and therefore we will also apply a discretion given that you give us a valid reason on why you are actually late, which means that the maximum time limit for being late is 30 minutes, but the other 10 minutes it's only allowed as a discretion based on your reason, if whether it is valid or invalid in terms of explain to us why you're actually late. Assessment, and will have, so people who fail the assessment will therefore be allowed to actually complete a supplementary exam, or will be given the opportunity to write the supplementary exam, and the scope will be the same. The test is going to be 3 hours. You will not be allowed to an extra time, so meaning that if you come in late by 30 minutes or 20 minutes, you will not be allowed an extra 30 minutes because you come in late. You'll still be limited up to the time limit that is available. If the exam is ending at 1 o'clock, it will be all pens down, and therefore you'll have to submit your work. And once in the test venue, you will not be allowed to leave until 1 hour 15 minutes have passed, and you'll also not be allowed to re-enter the exam, the test venue, after you have left, which means that if you submit your work, and unless you forget to write your name or surname, therefore you will not be allowed to enter, re-enter, and as well as request your answer book. You will not, this is an open book test. No notes are allowed except the textbook, as well as highlighted information, as well as the stickers indicating the page number. No sharing of calculator will be allowed during this assessment, so please make sure that you bring your own calculator. No stationery will be allowed to be shared during the assessment, so please make sure you bring your own stationery. No cell phone will be allowed. All questions must be answered. We do not have um, choices question. We do not have questions where it allows you to pick one question and write the other without choosing the other. So we only have got things such as MCQ, which are form part of question or a section, which means that you also need to answer all of those questions, and all questions must be answered on the question paper provided. A rough workspace will be provided that if you need to do a rough work to calculate first before you write on your answer book, you'll use the rough section to do so. And if you do not use the rough section and you just write your answer, and then you might have done the correct calculation on a rough work maybe somewhere else on the question paper, but you didn't transfer it on there correctly on your answer book. This means that you will get to lose more marks, where we get to also review your rough work to see if you just made a mistake. You have done the correct thing on your rough work, but you might have made a mistake on your assessment that might have costed you to get the correct answer. And one most important thing is that when you write your work, make sure that your work is neat and readable. The lecturer will not be liable to give you a wrong mark unless it is something that the lecturer have decided to mark it wrong because he did not understand what you wrote based on your handwriting. So if it's based on your handwriting, the lecturer will not be seen at fault because you did not write your work in a neat format. If you make any mistake when writing, please make sure that you scratch by just putting a line in between what you wrote, and then you can write the correct answer below or on top. And make sure that when you do so, it is very clearly. T-pegs and pencil work will not be marked, so do not use T-pegs, do not use pencil. Those two, where there is a T-pegs and there is a pencil, it will be, the answer will be considered invalid, and therefore will give you a 0 over that specific answer. So this is all in terms of your requirement in terms of formative assessment. Please make sure that you attend all your classes regularly, practice all the questions that you are given in class, participate during class. Where you do not understand, ask your question, and therefore you will be able to achieve or to succeed, as well as to get your qualification at the end of the year. So it is important for us that you are passing, and that you are not just passing through cramming, but passing through understanding of the concept. So I will be making follow up during our revision class to see if you guys are actually studying or you are actually cramming. And that is all in terms of the formative assessment scope. You will enjoy the rest of your day until we meet on our next lesson. Thank you very much for showing up.